It looks like Richard Grace is on first again.
Huh.
Hey, Richard, when are you coming back on Global Star Party? It's been too long. Cameron Gillis is on.
Sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was on the phone with the platinum members. So I was trying
Members come first.
members come first. They do. They do.
That's what we
Always,
say
always,
around here.
always, always, always. So
Members and customers come first. Yeah. But members get
definitely. Yes, they do actually.
Mhm. Pekka's watching. This this map that you're seeing as you're watching this is from the TESS spacecraft, and it's a sky survey.
That's really cool.
Very cool.
That is very cool.
Huh?
When it comes to finding planets outside our solar system, no space mission to date can beat NASA's Kepler. In 5 years, it has found more than 1,000 confirmed exoplanets, with thousands more awaiting confirmation. Kepler finds exoplanets by carefully watching starlight, looking for slight dips in brightness as a planet passes in front of or transits its star. This technique, called time series transit photometry, is most effective for large planets in close orbits. This both maximizes the light loss during a given transit and the number of transits we observe. But how far can astronomers go with this technique? Can we find a twin of Earth? Or even identify whether a planet has moons? With 2 transit photometry missions on the horizon, NASA's TESS and ESA's Plato, some astronomers have examined the limits of this technique with surprising results.
For our study, Michael Hipke and I combined the knowledge or the lesson learned from Kepler with what we know about the future missions like TESS and Plato. And we ask ourselves the question, what would we be able to see if we put these observatories outside our solar system and observe our solar system? And the results are that we probably won't be able to see Mars or Mercury, but everything else in our solar system, we definitely get a solid detection of Earth, solid detection of Venus, also of the outer planets. We might even be able to see ring structures like the one around Saturn and maybe even moons, Jupiter's moons.
In another study, they pushed Kepler to the limit by cleverly combining almost all extrasolar planet data collected by the telescope using an understanding of orbital mechanics.
For example, Jupiter has so-called Trojan asteroids, that collect in two specific areas on its orbit, pretty symmetrically to its orbit. And in the study that we did on the Kepler data, where we added up all the phase curves of all 4,000 planets in the Kepler data set, we were even able to see signatures of asteroids in extrasolar systems. And with the future missions, we might even be able to find that in individual systems and not just by putting all the data together. We wanted to figure out what the ultimate limit is that we can do photometry with, and it turns out with the next generation of instruments, we already hitting the technical limit and are mostly limited by the variation of the host stars themselves, by the huge noise that's coming from the host stars.
The way to push down this noise is by observing stars for longer periods to improve models of the star's behavior, allowing astronomers to tease out the smallest transits. The work of Hipke and Angerhausen shows that future missions will be able to detect Earth-sized planets orbiting Sun-like stars at distances that would allow liquid water. These systems will become prime targets for more detailed study using other missions, such as NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. Will we find a copy of our solar system? How common are habitable worlds, and particularly twins of Earth? The thousands of exoplanets to be discovered by Tess and Plato will go a long way to providing answers.
Hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and I'm here with Jerry Hubbell and Annie Scarborough. This is the 164th episode of the OpenGOTO community. So Jerry will be talking about photometry and some of the going-ons and the OpenGOTO community. Annie's joining us for a moment here just to give us our daily dose of Explore Alliance membership activities. So, and I'm here to tell you that we have a global star party tonight. Our 56th global star party. So it'll be a great one. We have David Levy, David Eicher, who's coming back after being gone for a few weeks. Libby and the Stars, she's back from space camp, and who else? Adrian Bradley. We've got Rodrigo Zeleda, who's been away for a while down in Chile. So, he's starting to do professional type research astronomy at this point, so which is totally cool. So anyways, Annie, why don't I turn it over to you for just a little bit, and you can give us what's happening today.
What's happening today is I've started working on those. Actually, I've been cleaning up some stuff for certificates and things like that. And so I started putting packets together. And so we'll start getting those. I'll start getting those mailed out probably by Friday. Getting some of those. Not everybody's is going to go out because I'm still missing some things for it. So, but and then we of course added some new members, so I had to add those to the list. So that's really good. Our membership is growing. It's growing, which is an amazing thing. So in fact, we've about hit our max on the amount that we can have on the new website. So we're going to have to increase that. So that's a great thing.
Oh yeah, the platform said, "Well, wait a minute, too many members."
That's right. We
have to charge you more money.
We started getting notifications. So we do. I'm going to start sending out. We have some people that went ahead and went on and joined Legacy, but they were platinum members. And so I had to play around with the emails to get those links sent. So I'm gonna do that too. Start sending those links out to them. If you have an issue We're trying to,
Oh, yeah, because you might get like two of something,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
two emails or two notifications or something. So
Or if you
probably don't
find,
want that.
yeah, or if you find that you go and log into your membership on our website and there's an error or anything, please let us know, because we're still working at kinks and glitches and things like that. And so we want to try to get those resolved as quickly as possible.
Sure.
So just email me back and I can take care of that for them. But other than that, we have so many things that are about to go on the calendar. We have a lot of star parties and a lot of different events that are going to start going on that calendar, and it's going to get busy and it's going to be fun, and we're going to be going to a lot of places and doing a lot of great things. And so just be watching that, because
our next event is going to be a local event around here called Stars and Sauce, and it is a music festival with telescopes and stargazing. And so that will happen in Eureka Springs on September 10th and 11th. It's just a weekend deal. But if you're interested in that, you can get in touch with Annie at Explore Alliance at explorescientific.com, and we'll send you over to where you can buy tickets. You can also look on Explore Scientific's Facebook page, and you will see you'll see some advertisements for it. This event is not being run by us. We're not concert promoters yet. So, but the lineup of musicians is pretty impressive, and it'll be a lot of fun. So, we're still practicing social distancing as much as possible. But it's something that they managed pretty well last year. They actually had whole plots laid out for different people in their groups and stuff like that to watch this. It's on a place called The Farm, which is a concert venue out here. And so, if you want to get out and see beautiful Northwest Arkansas, experience the Ozarks, maybe drop by afterwards and see Explore Scientific, we're happy to accommodate you. So anyways.
Yeah. And then the next event this month is the Nebraska Star Party that we've talked a little bit about on I think one of the global star parties. And so that's kind of what we have going on in August. But then we'll start, we're going to pick up some speed, and there's going to be a lot of different things. But I would love to see you learn how to play the saxophone at one of those festivals. That would be amazing.
Would you?
Scott. Yeah. Yeah. Or a fiddle or a violin. That would be
fiddle,
so
maybe.
much fun.
Yeah.
Yes, do the fiddle. And then you could go around, customer service. Get everybody going and
like
moving.
The only instrument that I ever tried to play was the cornet, But I was so young at the time that I thought the cornet was like a trombone or something. I didn't know really what it was, but I was horrible, and I couldn't read music, and my teacher didn't want to teach me how to read music. It was like, well, everybody can read music. Well, no, okay. I mean, it looked like a bunch of little squiggly lines with the little feet on them or something, so it was totally foreign to me. It was foreign to me then, it's foreign to me now,
You can learn to read Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Oh, that's tough. I think I could read that before.
Yeah.
Actually, I could learn to read some Chinese characters before I could learn to read music. Okay, so that's how foreign music is to me. But, if Paul McCartney can't read music and he can do all that great music, then,
I believe in you, Scott. I believe you can do it.
I could make a noise. I could make that noise. So whether you like that noise or not is another story.
You could be a backup singer. How about that?
A very backed up singer. Just keep backing up.
Yeah.
He's at the end of the line.
That's right. You can barely hear me in my squeaky voice. That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Although I was in the choir as a boy, so there you go.
Oh, wow. We learned something new about you. Yeah.
Some little tidbits people didn't know.
Yeah.
Stuff I've tried to keep secret all these years. So.
Yep. So, all right. I think that's pretty much. We still have the etched decorative cubes with the
cubes
152. Yep.
Beautiful laser etched. Ooh, ED 152 refractor, totally to scale.
Yep.
That's a little galaxy too.
Yeah,
that's
it's
up
got
there.
a little galaxy and
Got a
it's
little
got
galaxy waiting out there for
yeah.
it to be observed. But this thing, when you look at it, you can see the set screws on the finder scope. You can see all the details around the eyepiece, the mount. It's amazing. Oh, and you can actually see the objective lens inside too, because it's kind of see-through. Anyways, it's very, very cool. Available at a super deal to Explore Alliance members. So,
And then
and there's
we have,
only a few left. There's like, what, 5 or 6 left or something. So
I think there's like 7,
7.
maybe 6. I'll have to go back and look at the emails, but I'm sorry. I literally stuck earbuds in my ears today and was trying to get some things done. And Tyler comes over and goes, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm like, okay, trying to get some work done. But we have that. Hang on. Yep.
Are you okay, Annie?
Yes.
It's always the way it is.
Did Tyler blow pepper
Are you there?
dust
Sorry.
in your face or something? Like,
Tyler just messaged me.
Yeah.
Are you going to make it? Yes, I'm going to make it. Oh my goodness. We have the binos. The binos.
oh, the Bino viewers, right? Yeah.
Yep, we have the bino viewers. And so, Tyler,
I know.
but yeah, we have the bino viewers and, they're pre-ordered, so y'all can order those too. So
Okay.
Do you want to say anything about
You gonna
the
live,
survey?
Annie?
it's because I was making fun, probably because I was making fun of Tyler.
Yeah, it's
Probably.
karma. That's what it is. It's karma.
You want to say anything about the survey, Annie, that we sent out?
Yes, we're having amazing response. We're having amazing response from the survey. We've had 50 people respond. Jerry, will you say a little more for me?
Yeah,
please?
So we've got some interesting results in terms of what people are observing and using with their telescopes. And most people, I think it was like 93%, are doing either both visual and astrophotography or just astrophotography. So that was pretty amazing in terms of our focus and our goal as Explore Scientific to help those get into astrophotography. Only 7% of our customers are visual only, which we want to cater to them also, but we have a wide range of eyepieces for that, right, Scott? And telescopes.
Mm-hmm, we do.
To support the visual only observers. So
That's right. That's right. Yep.
But we've learned a lot.
We have you
know,
covered visually. That's true.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about our customers and what issues we need to fix on that system. And so it's been very, very, very informative. And who's getting information and who's not getting information. If you're not seeing stuff from us, please let me know.
right.
I want to try to resolve that as much as possible.
And don't hesitate to, if you have a question about anything in our documentation or anything with your system, just please let us
That's
know.
right. Yeah.
That's for
You can,
me.
in fact, you can ask us live on this show,
That's
or
right,
any of the
exactly.
shows for that matter.
That was frustrating for me when I worked in the nuclear industry, working on equipment, and operators, sometimes they don't want to bother you, or they don't want to, they know you're busy and they know you've got a lot of things to work on, but they sometimes would hold back and telling you when something's wrong.
At the nuclear power plant?
Not there at the SCADA system I used to work on. So there's certain operators that would wait. It wasn't a major problem. It was just something that was bothering them in terms of a display needed to be changed. There's nothing broken.
The chambers melting down or something.
No, it was just something that we'd like to improve, and they just would hold back.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. They'll go, "Gosh, I just didn't want to bother you. You look so busy." It's
right. Exactly. And that's frustrating for us because we want to make it right for you. And
right.
And if we don't get told, then how are we going to make it right?
Yeah.
And our goal is to make their experience with us as best as possible. We listen to our members and our customers.
Yeah.
We actually do, and we really care about what they think and what they feel. So
I recall, I mean, we talked about it today in our customer service meeting, and one of the comments, it was so general,
Yeah.
there was nothing specifically said. And I was like, okay, the guy, it was a PMC8 user, okay? So we got like these comments, works great, blah, blah, this is awesome, this is awesome. Then this guy says, it was basically, he says it was terrible for him. He ends up, I think, selling it and getting a different mount, which is fine. But, we're all sitting here going, well, gosh, what was it he didn't like, or where was the, where was the problem? Was it based off computer? Was it platform? Was it our firmware? Was it a hardware issue? We don't know. So we're now having to go and I've asked the department to kind of zero in on this particular individual and see what else we can find out, because that kind of information is very valuable to us. We want to hear it. If there's something wrong, as both Jerry and Annie have said, we want to know all about it so we can make it right, and we have done some pretty fun things. Like one time, Jerry got online using TeamViewer or Tight VNC.
Yeah, well, TeamViewer. I think at that time we were using
TeamViewer. So
yeah.
we're on the air. Okay, this is live, and it was not like staged or anything. We're on the air. We go in with TeamViewer into this guy's computer system. I wish I remembered the gentleman's name. And Jerry reconfigures everything and makes his system run like 10 minutes or something like that, so,
right.
And this is, so Jerry's in Virginia, this guy's in another state. But that's the amazing thing about a system like ours, is that you can actually do that. Okay. I remember working for another company in the old days. That was an absolute impossibility. Okay. Mm-hmm. To be able to resolve a problem like that online, so much less doing it live in a live broadcast. So anyhow.
Well, and we even want to, even if you are going to give your system away or whatever you're going to do with it, like we still need to know that information for the next customer that, might have an issue as well. We don't want to just continue on. I mean, it really is valuable information, and we want to know what our customers think and feel.
Well, I would think that most people would do something where they would say, if they felt something was wrong, they wouldn't just off it, and make it somebody else's problem. So I think that they would want to figure that part out. So but we'll dig into it and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think some things that frustrate customers is, we have to ask pointed questions, very specific questions about what's going on with their system. And that can be a little tedious for the customer. I've done that, when you call the cable company and you say, my system's not working and I've done X, Y, and Z, and they force you to start from the beginning and step
all the way over. Yeah.
Procedure. All right, I'll do it again. That's the kind of, and I think that's the feeling that customers get sometimes when you start asking specific questions or telling them to do specific things in order. And although you've done it 100 times, you
think you've done it 100 times.
Think you've done it. Yeah, you think you've done it.
Because I have been the customer that called the cable company and it was like going, oh God, doesn't this person know I work as a tech support person someplace? Right. I know how to plug stuff in. I know how to do this. And then I'm getting down to it and I go, okay, yeah, looks like it's working now. Thank you.
Right.
So
it's hard sometimes. To get through that. You got blinders on when you're frustrated with the problem. You can't
right
look at everything.
You're fighting it and stuff. So, but that's what we're here for, is to help guide you through these things. All right, let's see, who do we have? I know Richard Grace was the first to log on. We have Mike Wiesner, Book Davies, Harold Locke. I think Beatrice is with us, Dusty Haskins, and Anthony Mountjoy. He says verboten. Yes. Cameron Gillis, I might have mentioned him, maybe not. Martin Eastburn is on with us. And lots of familiar faces. Tarek is on with us again. He's all the way back in Egypt. We've got Pekka all the way back in Sweden. This is Great Tuesday. Hope everyone has as good of a day as mine. Pekka's like one of the happiest people I know, really.
Yeah.
Yep. And Harold Locke. Harold Locke says, I wholeheartedly support looking for Earth-like planets in the event our civilization needs to relocate. Yep. I think that's part of the idea of getting at least to the moon and Mars.
Yeah, it'd be a tough trip to get to another star with a planet.
Oh, yeah.
It'd
Right.
That'd be
We'll
kind
just
of,
have to send our genetic code out there.
we'd have to really get the help of some of these UAPs that are flying around. You knew I
There's
was
so
gonna
many
get
out there. How come they don't help us? That's what I want to know,
yeah, I try to throw that in whenever I get a chance.
Which is like every chance you get. Mike Wiesner says, I began playing with the cornet, then trumpet in 1960. I became the #1 trumpeter in high school band. Gosh, Mike. I wish I could have
That's
played.
awesome. That's awesome. You
No,
need
it
to
is
play.
awesome.
He needs
You know
to
what?
play
Mike
for us
Wiesner is
sometime.
so talented. He is, if you threw a guy altogether, he's a jet fighter pilot. Okay. He's a musician. He's the dude's brilliant, author, an all around good guy, so he is a rare bird out there. And, almost everybody I know that knows him loves the guy. So he's great. Let's see. And Matthew Walsh. Hi, folks. Looking forward to the Global Star Party tonight. Great. And Pekka says, Scott, thank you. I'll try to share my happiness with everyone that crosses my path. I think you already do that, Pekka. So that's good. We can feel it all the way over here. So, let's transition over to Jerry. Annie, thank you so much.
Thanks, I'm gonna go.
Yep. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
Danny.
Yep. Jerry, take us into the world of photometry.
So this is a continuation of the last few episodes. I've been going over some basic tools when you're doing measurements on your images, and photometry. I kind of explained what it was the first episode, and now I'm going to kind of demonstrate some of the tools that you would use to do photometric measurements. So I guess I'll start out. I'm going to share my main screen because it's hard to shift back and forth between different applications like I'm going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, so this is, let me go to the web page that I want to show. So there's a few tools out there. This is Maxim DL. This is what we use on the observatory to control our system. And it's got some image processing and some other measurement tools that I'm going to show. But I want to go
You're controlling this through ASCOM, right?
So this program connects to all the instruments through ASCOM. That's correct. And so the focuser, the camera, the mount,
The observatory?
the observatory dome, all those are connected through Maxim DL to control the observatory. But I wanted to talk about this tool. I just tried the Aperture Photometry tool. I used it a long time ago, but I haven't been on it for quite a while. So I went back and looked at it, found the website and downloaded it, and it uses a Java. It uses Java because it's a Java virtual machine.
Mm-hmm.
because it's a Java application. It's a cross-platform Java application, but I could not get the thing to run on my machine. My Java didn't install correctly. I updated the Java and it didn't update. But anyway, I wanted to make sure everybody has to go here if they want a free tool. I'm gonna cut and paste the.
Here, I got it.
You got it. Okay.
AperturePhotometry.com, right?
.org.
Oh, .org. Let me
Yep.
change that.
And this will let you measure stars, the brightness of stars, and using these. It's got some pretty advanced tools, as you can see here. This is showing the aperture around these two stars, and I'm not sure why this particular example they're measuring two stars as one, but that's what it's demonstrating here. That you can draw an ellipse around a star. Some tools allow you to do this type of measurement so for example, if you were to have trailing stars, or if you're trailing a minor planet, you're tracking the stars, but the minor planet moves over time, and you might have
comet, maybe.
or a comet. You might have a trailed image of the comet or the minor planet that you want to measure, and that's where an elliptical aperture would come in handy. So this is one tool you can use. What I'm using is Maxim DL, and that costs money. But I'm going to just demonstrate it since it's easiest for me to show you how that works. So right now I've got let me get rid of this. This is an image of M67 that I took with a V-band filter to do. The thing about M67 is that the AAVSO has reference magnitudes for a bunch of the stars, the brighter ones in the M67. And so you can do measurements on given stars, like this one right here is a little bit outside of M67 that I'm on right now. Can you see that?
Yes.
This is showing the aperture and the annulus. So if you recall from the previous episode, there's an aperture, which is the ring, the circle around the object that you're measuring, and then there's the annulus. And with Maxim, you can set the aperture value size. You can see I just enlarged it. See that move? Or you can set it smaller, like that. And there's a trick to getting this. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a little bit of a learning curve to understand what size aperture and what size annulus you want to set up on the system to do an accurate measurement or a precise measurement. One of the things that we have when we're talking about these apertures is the information, the measurement information, and Maxim has it here. And I'm gonna bring up a zoomed up version of this to show you guys. So this kind of shows what's in this information window. This is not the same stuff. Oops. But it shows you where your cursor is located. It shows the maximum and minimum brightness in the pixels. Okay, it tells you what the average is, and the median and the standard deviation. And then over here on the right, it has a calculated magnitude, and there's a setup for that. And then this intensity. This intensity and SNR, those are the most important values that you want to look at when you're measuring. I guess the maximum value is also as important, because you don't want to overexpose a star. And I'll zoom over a version of another star that shows you what that looks like. But what the intensity is this is the total brightness of the star, where you take all the pixels that are in that circle in the aperture and add up the values. You sum the values of the how many photons that pixel has, and what the counts are for that pixel, It adds up all the pixels in the circle and gives you the total amount. And that's what this is, 89,998. And then it also gives you a signal to noise ratio value, which is important on doing precise measurements also. I won't get into the details on that, but that's something else that the program will give you. And just to demonstrate a little bit. So can you read these numbers here? This intensity?
Yeah, you can easily read them. That's no
Okay,
problem.
good. So if you look here at this, this is the star that I showed you. It's close up. Intensity and signal noise ratio. And let me go around. Let me go around this star. Look, see how dim this is? That didn't even register. Doesn't even have a value here. You go here. So this is a much dimmer star, and the intensity is much less, and the SNR is lower too. All right. So now let me get a bigger. Let's see. I'm going to zoom in down here. Get a bigger star. So here, even this is a good candidate for measurement because the maximum is not overexposed. So with a 16-bit value, the value that tells you that it's overexposed is equal to 65,536. So as long as this value, the maximum value, is not above that, then it's not overexposed, basically. That's the maximum pixel that's in that circle. That's the brightness of it. And then you can see the signal to noise ratio is even better. It's up to near 2,000. So just to get back to basics a little bit, also, the aperture is the circle and the annulus is the ring. And the reason you have to have an annulus and an aperture is because you're looking at the sky through an atmosphere, and the atmosphere has a certain level of brightness. Okay. And so the data that you have, the pixels or the photons that you collected within this circle, the aperture, include not only the star light, but also the sky background light. Okay. So the measurement consists of subtracting the annulus pixel brightness from the aperture pixel brightness. So it basically corrects for that.
In this case, is the star's brightness, that's what, 180,000?
So the intensity is 180,000. That's right.
Okay,
But
so that relate to electrons?
So when you're collecting photons with your CCD camera, it converts it over to electrons, basically. And there's a thing called quantum efficiency in your CCD that tells you how efficient it is and today's CMOS cameras, the back illuminated CMOS cameras, are upwards of 90% quantum efficiency.
Wow,
80 to 90%.
that's really good.
It is. It's really awesome in terms of measurement and collecting light. So that's how sensitive these cameras are today, that they're 90% efficient at creating electrons out of the photons that are collected. And so there's a couple of other values that you would see in your camera that relate to that. One is called gain. All right. If you've done any photography, astrophotography, you probably run across the gain setting. And that's the conversion between the numbers, photons, and electron counts. Okay. You got a full well depth. So each pixel can collect, it's like a bucket. It can collect so many photons, right? Let's say the bucket is big enough to collect 22,000 photons, okay, and then it overflows. Now, the gain is related to when you want to scale the full well depth number, okay, to the ADU counts, which is a 16-bit number or a value that's maximum at 65,000 counts, okay. So you want to set your gain to scale it so that you use take full advantage of the range of the 16-bit number. Basically, is what you're trying to do. I could get into more details, but it gets to be a little tedious on this kind of instructional format, I think. Let me get this star. So if you look here, there's a bigger star here, a slightly bigger star. And you can see the maximum is almost at the peak. It's at 63,800 counts. All right, right there.
Okay.
I was trying to find a bigger star, even bigger than that. Oh. Let me zoom out. Oh, here's one. Oops. So you can see the size of the star is a little bigger because of the stretch that I've done, but you can see here its maximum value is again near 65,000. So when I took this picture, basically I set the exposure. This is actually you see where it says you see 60-second. This is a 60-second exposure. Now, this magnitude calibration, you can do settings and stuff. So this 600 doesn't mean the same thing as the actual exposure for the image. So don't get that confused. But you set the exposure so you don't overexpose any of the stars that you're trying to measure. And that's how you know. When you take an image, you'll go to the biggest star that you're interested in and see what the value is on the maximum value when you're doing this type of work. Now, let's see. I've got a star that I picked out previously. Let's see if I can remember where it is. I think it's this one. Nope. Might be this one. I think it's this one here. See this star right here? I'll zoom in on it here in a minute.
Yeah.
I've actually got that star picked out on my star chart. And it's actually, is that it? That's it right there. So I don't know if you can see this, the number. It's a UCAC star. It's 47,185. Okay. And its magnitude is listed as, its visual magnitude is listed as 12.107 down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not. So this is star 47185, okay, UCAC star 47185. And if I click on this, I did a place solve. So it knows what stars are what in the catalog. It says 47185 right here.
Okay.
So I know that's the star. Okay. And let me see here. What I can do with this tool, and a lot of tools will let you do this. So I know what the magnitude is, this 12.07, and I know this star. If I go to the aperture, I know what its intensity is. So I can extract. I gotta set this to 60. I know this is a 60-second exposure, and I know this is a magnitude 12.07. Okay. And now all I've got to do is extract the intensity from the image, and I think I can just go that. Let's see if it does it. And I click on it. And see how it grabbed that 88,896 value into the intensity here. And so now that's the calibration. Okay. So now you can see here on the intensity, see how and the magnitude right here, it calculated the magnitude.
Okay.
That's 12.07.
12.07, right?
And this is a V-band magnitude since I took this with a V-band filter. Okay.
Okay.
So now, and this is just a simple, you know, there's programs that do every star in the image. It'll do and calculate this stuff, but this is just how you can do it manually with this particular program. And most programs should let you do this manually. So now that I know that's a 12th magnitude star, now I can click on other stars, like this one, and it can tell me the magnitude of that star. And it's 13.385.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you can measure this star. That's 11.59. So that's a little brighter. And let's see what this one is. This is a brighter star yet. That's 11.3. This one is 9.987. So you can see how this photometry tool, this basic tool that lets you, you know, turn the pixel or the photons into counts, and then you measure the counts, subtract the background, and then you calibrate it to to some kind of reference data, which was the UCAC chart that I used in the astrometric measurement of the star. Yes, this star right here. This is 185. So I use that as a reference. Okay. And I could have just as well used this star as a reference.
Or any of the stars that are already, I guess, known or plotted.
They're known, and that's right. And then I could go to my chart and say, okay, I want to look up this star. This is UCAC 047119.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it easily here. Sometimes I can go by the coordinates. So the existing coordinates, it's 849.56. And so let me see here, 849.56. The other star is right here. That one's a little bit down to the left of it. So might be this star. 154. Nope, that's not it. 126. Nope. One of the limitations of Carte de Seal is I can't enter the UCAC number directly and find the star. It's kind of it's not really built for that. Maybe I'm too far away. Say 154, 119. But you get the idea. I can find that star. Actually, I need to just look at the coordinates. It's 49.56, so I need to go a little further out. 49.56. I need to come over here a little further. $49.43. Oh, there it is. Right there. That's got a magnitude of 9.824. So that's the star, 47.119. And it's got a visual magnitude of 9.824. Okay. So if I click on that and I do a calibration, 9.824 visual magnitude, and I'm going to extract the value. Extract it. Watch, this thing's going to die on me. I don't know why it's having a problem. Let me do this again.
This is the Java virtual machine that's kind of choking.
No, this is Maxim DL. This is just a regular
Maxim
program. Yeah, this is not. Let me try that again.
When was the last time you rebooted your computer?
Well, it's got a lot of stuff. It's been running for a while. I may have to just enter this by hand.
Yeah.
Let me do that. I'll cut and paste it off of the.
Caesar wants to know, can the photometry software support Reflex Camera .raw files?
No, you have to have a file format where you have the actual
data, right?
Pixel counts, the counts for each pixel, and typically it's a Fitz image format.
Yeah.
or an uncompressed format that basically is like, it's just like a spreadsheet of numbers. When you have the XY coordinates for the pixel is the XY, it's like the XY coordinate on a
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet, and it's just got a value in there. Now, with the color camera, you got 3 color planes. You got red, green, and blue. So you'll have three different spreadsheets of data to look. You can look at it that way, and each one is it's a green pixel
Yeah.
or is a red pixel. That's the intensity of the red, that type of thing.
So
So
if I took an image with a Canon DSLR, can I convert that image to Fitzfile, or is it
you can. There's programs out there to do that.
okay? All right, and then I can do all this stuff.
Right, and then once you do that, then you can do that exactly. All right, so I just cut and paste that value in here. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the other star. That was a value of 12 point, I think it was 12.107 or something like that, or 12.107 maybe. I don't know. Let's look. I think this is the star.
Here we go.
That's interesting.
Found a program that does it. I've never used it, but there are programs, so you can check this out.
Why is it not?
It's because you're on a live program, Jerry.
Yeah, I know. Okay, there it is. So I applied that calibration to the same star and it got the value that it should. So now I can go to another star and see if it's close to what, there it is, 12079. I think it was 1207. This is the same star we calibrated on before. And you can see when I calibrated this other star
Uh-huh.
and I clicked on the previous star, it came up with a close answer, very close answer. The original
So it tells me my calibration is good, or
that means that the V-band filter is acting just like that. It's only letting the V-band light through, and across the image, the response of the CCD is pretty linear in terms of brightness, very linear. Now, this is not how you measure linearity, but this is an indication of it. The fact that you can calibrate on one star and go look at the value on another one and it comes up close to what the catalog value is, that's basically what you're looking for.
right?
And I did a study on these images with the V-band, and I plotted, I don't know if it's easy for me to pull it up right now, but I plotted the catalog visual magnitude against the measured visual magnitude, and drew a line through it. Okay, and did a linear fit. So now I knew how close, that line, the value for that line tells me how close the calibration is,
Mm-hmm.
the reference catalog for my images, basically, for my V-band photometric filter. That's how you basically calibrate your filter, is by doing that type of measurement with a bunch of stars and saying, okay, over these brightnesses, this is how close the measured value is to the actual catalog value. And you know that you can do an accurate measurement on something else. So let's say there was a comet that came through this image. Let's say this is a comet or an asteroid right here.
Okay.
Okay. And I want to see, okay, how bright is this? Oh, it's 8.6. Now, remember I told you about the center, about the aperture, how you had to size that correctly?
Yeah.
You can see down here, it looks kind of like it's crowding it, right? It's almost too
Yeah,
big to
looks like
fit into that circle.
The star's too big.
So how accurate is this measurement? So right now it's set to 8.6. That's the calculated magnitude. So now let me make this aperture bigger. All right. And you see how the value changed from 8.6 to 8.579. Let me show that again.
Okay.
I'm going to set it back to 6. And it's 8.62. 602.
Sensitive.
And now if I change it to 8,
Yeah.
it's 8.579. So that shows you a little bit how the aperture size really makes a difference It's a very small difference, but it's a difference nonetheless. So let me increase it
But
to,
what is correct though? Is it
well, so that's the thing. How much of the light? Let's spread it out a little further. So it's at 8 now. So let's go to 10. Okay. And what you look for is as you move the apertures closer and shorter and shorter, you look for where it changes fastest.
okay?
So right now, if I make this even bigger, what you're doing is you're bringing in more background light that you should be compensating correctly for. So let me go to 12,
I see.
and you see it's 8.56. Okay,
Right.
where before it was let's see, at 8 it was 8.579. So it's changed quite a bit. But then when you start to get really small, you'll see let's go to 4. All right. So now it's really way off in my estimation. It's 8.73.
Mhm.
Okay. So it jumped. So that's too small. Of course, it looks too small when you look at it. But let's go to 6. Now it is back to 8.6. So I think if you make it bigger, as you make it bigger, you're looking for it to ramp up in magnitude or get dimmer and dimmer because you're bringing in more and more background to subtract off. So it's going to make the measurement a little dimmer, but it'll get to the point where it kind of levels off or it doesn't change as much. And now you've except it's changing because of the background. So now you know that it's basically near the correct size. The other thing you can do is, like right now, I'm stretching this. I've got a medium stretch on here. This is
Okay.
something that's going to throw you off too. So if you see how when I changed it to low stretch, it made the stars smaller, and then when I go to high, it makes them bigger.
Okay.
So if you really want to see what the extent of the brightness of the star is, you make it really high contrast or high stretch, and then you size it accordingly. So I'm going to set this back to 8. All right, so now 8 basically covers all those pixels with a high stretch, okay? And this tool, when I click on the star, it's supposed to center the aperture over the centroid of the star. That's what it's done. So now that you've encompassed all the brightness of that star, basically, that's in the stretch, then you're pretty well assured that you're going to capture all the star. And if you get any bigger than that, it's not going to add any value. The other thing to look at is the annulus. How much of the background do you want to bring in? And the gap, okay? So I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little star here that's contaminating this ring, okay?
Actually, I think 2 stars.
The other one's right here.
There's one right there, and then I
Yep,
think
and the other
you go
one's up
down
here.
to about maybe 5 o'clock.
Yeah, right here.
I think there's something there too.
Yep.
Maybe even something at 7 o'clock.
So the way you fix that, so let me go to an extreme case here. So let's, like this right here. Actually, I'm going to resize this aperture also a little bit. So you can see that this bright star has bled over into the annulus. All right, and then this one is getting close too. So what you can do is you can set the gap width, okay, to clear that. So I'm going to set it up to 6. See, so now we've cleared the bright star. Okay, this is the gap right here. This is the annulus. But now we have this little star that's in here. Now this is going to be a difficult measurement because now if I were to make the gap even further, it's going to start to encompass this star, right? So I'm going to go crazy and make it really, really big. Let's see what this does. All right, I didn't quite get it. I'm going to set it a little bit bigger. Now this is kind of an extreme case, but this is how you would have to manage these values. Oops, trying to get it in the, want the gap width. Oh, 22. Okay, there we go. Oh, now I got another star. So this is a difficult star to measure, okay, because you've got these issues. You don't want to make the annulus too
I want that
thin.
guy,
I
right?
mean, I could do this. Watch, this is what I could do also. I could set this to like 4. So now I'm clearing all the stars, right?
Yeah.
But am I getting enough background to compensate for this? It probably is, because that's a big radius and you got a ton of background
There's
measurement.
enough
in there.
area in that.
Yeah, exactly. There's enough area in that to compensate. So this is kind of the thing you got to play with when you're doing measurements like this. So it says this star is 11.645, the one that we're centered on. Now see, now I've got to resize things depending on which star you want to include, but I typically start out with a gap. This is kind of a good state right here to start with right here. And most stars you can get within that. Let's see what this one is. That's 13.4 magnitude. Let's see if we can measure this one. I always like to see the dimmest star. Oh, this is 15th magnitude right there.
Pretty faint.
Pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty faint. So, and if you look at this one, that's even fainter.
What is the exposure of this?
60 seconds.
60 seconds.
So you can detect stars that are 16th and a half magnitude
in 60 seconds.
And it's using a V-band filter too on top of that.
Right.
So there are cameras that are much more sensitive to that. So with a 60-second exposure with some cameras, you should be able to get nearly to 18th magnitude, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is.
So this gives you this is another star that's about 16th magnitude. So the limits on this measurement system is the V-band filters out a lot of light. Also I'm using my QHY 163 camera, which is a one-shot color camera. So it's got another filter in front of it that's a Bayer pattern filter. Okay, that it's letting the green through, and then I'm letting the green through again with the photometric filter. But the problem is, it's not, even if that chip had a high quantum efficiency around 90%, the Bayer filter cuts that out. But since I'm measuring the V-band here in this image, and it lets all the V-band filter light, all the green light through, which is a good thing. So that's how that works. And that's why I was able to use a one-shot color camera to do these monochrome measurements and get accurate data for M67. Was there anything else I'm going to show here? Let me see. I don't think so. I think the chart was the only thing. I wanted to show you how you could use the chart to look up the magnitude and correlate it with your image when you did a plate. And I did a plate solve. I didn't show that. I did a plate solve all the image. That's how this information tool was able to show me the coordinates for any star, basically. So I can move this around and it'll show me whether it's a catalog star or not, that type of thing. Whoops, that's too far. Let me move this out of the way. So this star is a catalog star. The UCAC catalog gives me the blue magnitude. Okay. And let's see what the aperture says it is. It's 12.475 is a measured. Okay. And then if you look in the astrometric catalog, I'm not sure if this is the red magnitude. I think this is the measured. I think this is showing me the measured magnitude also, because I think that's the same as what we have in the measurement. Yes, so that's the measured. So if I go to astrometric, this will show me what I measured. This will show me the red magnitude. And which is interesting because that's near the green, and then the blue magnitude also. The UCAC catalog I'm not sure why he doesn't show the V-band magnitude. 'Cause that's really more useful than any for most people. Are there any questions? I've been rambling on for the last
Yeah, Jerry, you've
half
been
an hour.
rambling. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, there was that question from Caesar about switching from, the raw files in his
Oh yeah,
DSLR to Fitz, and I found
you sound the program.
a program that might work for him. Let's see. Oh, okay. Pug Davies says, I would imagine that catalog values are an average. So if you do an average value over several nights, that'd be interesting to compare.
That's right. There's a lot of measurements that go into the catalog value. It's not just one for sure. It's they do other statistics on it too to give you the precision of that.
So who do you think has the best source of this information with the most precise measurements? Is it from the AAVSO? Is it?
That's a great source, but these catalogs that are available. So recall, a lot of stars are variable. Okay, so that's why you need to average or over time a measurement. But again, the precision, the value that you get a certain level of precision, which means that's how much error is in the measurement from your software and the way you've done the apertures and stuff. But you also have variation due to the star itself, right? So there's no way to account for that except to do measurements the same way every time and do a light curve of the star. And then you understand what the range of brightness is for that star. And you can calculate, and that's what the AAVSO does. They give you star light curve plots that allow you to estimate what the brightness would be tonight if it's a regular variable that has a regular period for variation. If it's some kind of cataclysmic variable where it just sputters and sparks and and just randomly changes brightness, there's no way to know exactly what it should be. Even with a catalog value, the precision of the catalog value is not going to be very high for that star, where it might be very high for another star that's not really variable and it's got a lot of measurements over time. But M67 is a great target for that because the AAVSO has a standard chart for the M67 for reference magnitudes for that. That's why I use it.
So it says a book saying what sort of scope limits usefulness? I'm not sure what
kind of scope limits usefulness. So depending on what your objects that you're desiring to observe, so if you want to observe like we do on exoplanet stars that are magnitude 6 or 7 up to around 11, 10 or 11, that's a good range for us to do exoplanet measurements. Now those are very precise measurements, so we want brighter stars. Now, if you just want to do general magnitude or light curve work with stars, then you would do, then you could go maybe up to like 15th magnitude, like I was just demonstrating here, and do measurements over time for that magnitude. But it's limited by your aperture, so that's the main limit. And how long of exposure you want to do. You could do 60-second exposures like I do, or you could do 5-minute exposures and gather more light. But the key is not to overexpose any individual stars or any individual targets that you want to measure. That's a key thing to keep in mind.
Right. Okay, let's see. So Cameron says, this is cool, Jerry. I'm looking forward to getting equipped to start doing these measurements. You mentioned before that there was I think we were talking about spectroscopy where you could get into, an RSpec software and just one diffraction grating from Tom Fields. Is there something like that in the photometric world? I mean, is there
Uh,
like one filter you could buy?
well,
to
there's the filter I would buy, which I've demonstrated here, is a V-band photometric filter. And
Mhm.
it's manufactured such that it meets the standard in terms of the band pass, or how the wavelengths that it passes and the curve for it. So if you look online, I'm gonna bring up a page here, and I'll show you what that
Yeah,
looks like.
too.
Um,
Wow, prices are all over the place.
yeah. Let's see. I wanted to show a
Is it a
picture.
green? Is it a green colored filter?
It's green. So let me share my screen again. And so this is kind of what it looks like. So there's photometric filters. There's different ones, and this is the Johnson Cousins filters is what they're called too, because Johnson's and Cousins came up with these band passes and the wavelengths they want each filter to pass to do measurements. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and the V band, which is the green filter here, you can see where it goes from like 4,900 angstroms up through, it loses response up to around 6,500 or so, nearly 7,000, 6,800, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the pass band for that filter, and that's been calibrated, or I'm sorry, it's been standardized, okay, for manufacturers to build these filters. But there's a whole series of filters. The UVRI, basically ultraviolet, blue, visual, red, and infrared, are the spectral response. And this is what the filters look like. And they're just exactly what the colors are that they pass,
Mm-hmm.
And
I sent a link over for Astrodon as just one manufacturer.
Astrodon, right?
You
So
know?
here's another drawing of. Let me see if it's a bigger one. No. So this is another drawing that shows each of the filters and how they overlap a little bit. Okay. But that's the equivalent to a spectral grading for for photometric measurements. It's a gross way of measuring the spectrum of a star, is to measure it across all these filters. But that gets expensive, so that's why you buy a grading, to give you a continuous spectrum instead of this piecemeal magnitude measurements, right?
Yeah.
But
So
we want to be able to measure magnitude from as a standard way, and this is how you would do it.
a V-band filter would be a great start.
Yes.
Learn how to, do some photometry, and then you can move on to what the UBVRI filter.
Right. Now you can rely, if you didn't have any filter at all. Okay, you could also use a green filter if you've already
Green.
got a red, green, and blue filter.
Yeah.
You can start out just plain, it's not going to be fully calibrated, but you could calibrate that filter. So if you have a green filter and you want to calibrate it, you do the same measurement I just showed you, but you measure a bunch of stars, and you draw you do a least squares fit. You plot the measured value and magnitude against the catalog value, and from that you draw a line through all those measurements. Okay, a least squares fit line. And that'll give you the slope and bias to be able to correct that measurement to the actual catalog value. That's what you do. So you can
So
do
does
that.
do you end up with a number that, let's say that I get a reading and I have this least squares fit number? Is that something that I divide it by, or?
No, it's an equation. So it's basically
It's
a
an
polynomial
equation.
equation.
Okay.
You just stick in your measured value and you crank through it, and you get out the catalog, what your calculated catalog value is. And that works fairly well. You can get fairly precise with that.
And is this the kind of calibration you should do anyways, even if you buy a high-end filter?
Well, you can. if you like to understand it and understand the relationship and what your filter is actually, you could do a more precise calibration by doing that measurement with your filter, and then you have a correction curve. Basically, it's a correction
I
calculation.
don't think you'd want to do that.
Yeah, you'd want to do
because-
that. So now you can just take, instead of taking the standard, saying, okay, this is the standard measurement,
Yeah.
you can say, now I'm going to fit it into this equation and say, okay, now I know this is what the magnitude I measured was based on the correction. And that's just a correction. That's what it is. It's a correction to your, it's a calibration correction to the filter. And yeah, you're right. But every filter you get, you probably want to be as precise. If you want to be as
Probably want to characterize it.
as precise as you want, right?
Back in the day when I used to shoot black and white film, I used a method called zone system, and we would calibrate our processing, our film, everything got calibrated.
Right,
you know?
right.
And that way, if you knew what all the calibrations were, you could literally just look at a scene and go, okay, I want that to be zone 4, and I want that to be zone 6 and stuff. And you knew how to process to get to those levels.
Right.
You know, and we further calibrated our shutter speeds on our cameras, all kinds of stuff, you know.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
was
right.
really approaching, you know, that whole process was popularized by Ansel Adams.
I imagine the aperture's calibrated too.
Yeah, he approached it as a science, you know,
Yeah, right.
really. And so, and you're doing the same thing here, which is really cool, because once you start to understand some of that stuff, now you're starting to develop a base layer of skill set so that you can do pro-am work.
Yeah, and
okay?
this is no different than the pros do. Now they've got, you know, everybody's got more automation to do this work, you know.
Yeah.
And we can actually, we have access to some of these tools as amateurs, to the pro tools that they use also, like the exoplanet work that we do. We use as a program called Astro Image J that was developed by what's her name? Collins. Her last name's Collins. I can't remember her first name. But she developed this software with her team at the university that she
Here it is, Louisville.
Yeah.
Runs on Linux, Windows, and Mac.
Yeah. So that's a pro level tool that was developed for to do exoplanet work.
Is it free?
It's free.
Wow.
There's a lot of free stuff. Yep.
That's
The
crazy.
equipment's not free, but the software, typically to do pro level work, you can get it free. These catalogs are freely available also. All this data
Yeah.
freely available.
So you
Because-
should be able to take virtually any tracking telescope, right? And a basic camera, a green filter, and dive into this. So
Yeah, you can learn all about photometry and measuring star brightness and
All right.
magnitudes. Yep.
So let's say that we have somebody here in the audience that's listening to this program and they go, gosh, I'd really like to try that. The math is way over my head. You know, who could they go to kind of work through that?
Well, there's basic levels of math, of course. If you want to get more precise measurements, now you can I would call it cookbook it a little bit, where if you're a beginner and you want to just see how the process works, the software allows you to do that. I think that software tool that I showed at the beginning, that Aperture Photometry tool, it's got an unfortunate acronym. It's APT, just like the astrophotography tool has, but this is Aperture Photometry tool. But that, I'm sure, will give you a way to cookbook it, you know, where you just plug in the image, you just set the values to default, and you say, okay, measure this. But once you start playing around with, the first thing you would play around with is the apertures, like what I demonstrated. And then you might get to the point where, okay, I'm getting pretty good measurements here. I'm going to calibrate my filter now. And then that's when it starts to get into the math a little bit, where you're going to do a least squares fit with data. You have to understand the source of the data. Like, so I use the UCAC 4 catalog for my reference data. That's what's in Carte de Seal. And you can create what's called an image catalog. There's another program that I'm going to go over the next time. It's called Astrometrica to do astrometry.
Okay.
But it also does an image catalog where it will calculate it'll do a magnitude measurement also. So it's not just photometry, it's also photometry, and I'll get more into that next time. But that's a great tool because it'll go through and create a catalog from your image, just like a regular star chart catalog.
Wow.
It'll
Okay.
give you the right ascension declination. It'll give you the brightness, and it'll be a table of hundreds of stars that are in your image. It's kind of cool.
I have an idea. I've been when I can, I've been sitting in on this American Astronomical Society, group that is, we're working towards getting more amateur astronomers to join this professional group, the AAS. Jerry and I both belong to it. This is the same organization that was founded by George Ellery Hale. It's, virtually every professional astronomer in America belongs to this organization, but they're trying to reach out to amateur astronomers. And of course, what they do is science,
Right.
Certainly they're interested in people who do outreach and they're interested in all kinds of astronomy, but
And education too. Education is a big part
and
of it.
education. But at the end of the day, it's about science, right? And so they're looking for more amateur astronomers who can do science. And I thought, well, maybe it would be really cool if we worked with, I don't know, 2 or 3 people here in this audience that actually want to try to learn how to do photometry. And we can do like a mini workshop.
Yeah.
I would have you on Zoom, and Jerry could run through the whole process.
Yeah, and we could have them provide images if they want to process some images they have. We could do through that and step
Right.
through that. And
You could take the shots beforehand, kind of get ready, show us your rig, because we can't count on clear skies.
right.
But
Right.
once we have some people ready, I guess I'll put out some sort of a notice with Annie to see who would like to participate in something like that. And then I think once people see that whole process, then it's something where other people are going, oh, I can do that, so.
Right.
And
It's just
talk
learning how to
to,
do it. It's not difficult by any stretch, and it's easy to
I wouldn't think
understand.
so.
It's
I
easy
wouldn't
to
think so.
understand, I think. And the explanation today, I think pretty much everybody understood what I was saying about the apertures and how it works
Sure.
in terms of the measurements. It's
Yeah.
really straightforward.
But being walked through it and seeing it, how it's done, how that works with their own work, with their own
Yes.
images, I think would kind of burn that, that experience into their minds a little bit better. So, and I will talk to the group at the AAS too, to see if there's someone, we can take it to another level. Okay, you've learned how to do this now, because we're talking about mentoring programs and all kinds of stuff at the AAS. So
Right.
I'll see how far they want to take some of that
Yeah,
stuff.
the next step is to do light curves, which is just a series of measurements for a star or an asteroid, something that
Mhm.
a great one to measure would be an eclipsing binary, or something that changes over several tenths of magnitude, like from 12.2 to 12.8, or from 12.2 to 11.1 or something, or even more than one magnitude changes. Some stars out there change 2 or 3 magnitudes. And they're very easy to measure in terms of doing a light curve.
Right.
I see Book Davis.
All
says
right. Well, I
that's
think that we
freaking
got a
cool.
couple of people here that are already interested. So
Mhm.
you guys know where I live. So,
Right there at that desk.
right here at this desk. That's right. That's right. And we'll start to put it together. And Jerry, maybe you can think of maybe some targets that they would shoot, something like that. And once we have
Sure.
something together, we'll put that program together. I think that'd be very cool.
Sure, that's no problem.
All right, great. Okay, so before we go here, we'll kind of recognize some of the people that were on our program. Certainly, Richard Grace, first to log on here. We got Mike Wiesner, Book Davies, Harold Locke, Norm Hughes, Mike Overacker, Cesar Barolo down in Argentina. He'll be on the Global Star Party tonight. Oh, Cesar had a question. Should he only use monochrome cameras for this? You can use color cameras.
Yeah, I was using a one-shot color, but that was started out as an experiment. But I did some measurements to make sure it was correct, that it would work. But yeah, you can use one-shot colors. The only problem is you may it's not quite as sensitive as just using a monochrome with the V-band filter directly. Because my camera, I'm going through 2 filters instead of just one in terms of the green band, right?
Right.
And the assumption is, and I kind of validated it, is that the regular green filter passes more, or is a wider band pass than the V band filter, so that it's inclusive. So you basically have all this light coming in that's broader in spectrum and wavelengths, and then you're cutting it down a little bit more with the V band filter, which works fine. That's what you want. You don't want it the other way, where if the green filter was cutting out some of the V-band wavelengths, then you wouldn't get an accurate measurement at all, because it'd be basically the green band overrides the V-band. But other than that, and there's a slight, and then of course there's a slight dip in the efficiency. So so the one-shot color camera we have, the 163, I think is like around 80% on average at the peak. And it probably goes down to like 70% efficient with these filters in front, with the filter in front of it. So, but monochrome's best, to make a long story short.
Right. Cameron Gillis says, "This is cool, Jerry. Looking forward to getting equipped to start doing these measurements." So,
yeah,
Cameron's definitely one of the guys that wants to do this. And some of the others here too, I think, show some good enthusiasm towards that. So that's cool. Harold Locke says, "So using this program, the data we are collecting, if we submit it to the AA VSO, they can help in the study of particular stars."
yes,
What it's all about.
yep.
David Samard says, "Thank you. Notice that your site has the instructions for downloading the program in the Exos 2 PMC8 program. Thank you. I'm going to try again next weekend." Okay, great. Yeah, David, if you need help at all, get in touch with us in customer service. We'll be happy to help you. Matthew Walsh wanted to know, are the pictures stacked prior to loading in the software, or are these individual subs? I'm guessing the image shouldn't be edited or enhanced either. That's
right. When you're doing science images, all you want to do is calibrate the images, and that means you're using darks and biases and flats to basically calibrate the sensor as a measuring instrument. You're correcting for errors that show up in the image. That's all you're doing. Now, you can stack those images and to gather more, to basically accumulate more light in the individual image and into a stacked image, right? So that's a valid tool also when you're doing measurements. What you don't want to do is do any kind of curves or stretches or any kind of other manipulation. You don't want to manipulate the numbers. So the key with science images is to maintain the integrity of the individual pixel values. Right. And let's see. Matthew Walsh says he's definitely interested. Harold Locke says, "Sounds great, but not at that level, but we'll follow along and be a second or third wave." All right, that's cool. Okay. Well, great. I'm happy to see all of you in our chats today, and everything is very cool. And we're going to be on tonight starting at, don't forget, 7 p.m. Central, which is, I think, midnight Universal Time. So
depending on where you are in the world, and it should be a great program. David Eicher is going to bring his microscopic views into the program tonight. We've got Connell Richards is going to make an appearance again. And as I mentioned, Libby and the Stars will be there. Deep T will be on. Jerry Hubbell is going to be on. And of course, yours truly, along with some others that will be on the program. Caesar, Maxi, Rodrigo, from South America. So that's going to be cool. So hope you watch. And I'm going to take a little break here in between programs, get some dinner, and be right back on. Take care. Anything else you'd like to say to wrap up, Jerry?
No, I just want to encourage everybody to read up on photometry and take a stab at it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you in a little bit. Here's the Explore Scientific iXOS 100 Equatorial Tracker mount. We've got it mounted up here with a digital SLR that's got the dovetail plate here. We also have it kind of mounted on our extra heavy duty tripod. But this whole thing is operated remotely. You can see Kent's operating it with his Apple tablet here, but it'll run off a Windows tablet or an Android tablet. What do you like about this whole system, Kent?
I find it very intuitive. It's very quiet. Like any go-to system, there are things to learn.
Sure.
But once you learn those things, it makes it really easy to find stuff in the sky.
Sure.
Now, this is running our Explore Stars app. If you're going to do astrophotography, you need to be running it with a planetarium program hardwired to a computer.
That's right. So
ASCOM
this runs
program.
wireless, wired, okay? It's super versatile. It not only has go-to capabilities, but you can also add a guide scope with an auto guider CCD type of camera onto it. So, and the thing that you're going to really love about this is the price of this instrument, which will fit neatly into your budget, I'm sure. So check it out, look online, check out the specs, give us a call if you have any questions.